What's up, everyone? Jason Gelbo here with Justin Elick, aka Big Italy 42. Taking a look at GPP hitters for Wednesday's slate. Big slate, 12 games. Finally, we get some aces, though, so there are some easy games to just kind of skip over.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple spots where we can just kind of look at it and just keep moving because, obviously you know who we're getting to, so we can just gloss right over those guys and keep it simple.
Yeah, Toronto, Baltimore, first one here. Dylan Bundy versus J.A. Happ. This is kind of a weird game for me. I feel like it's a good tournament game, but I could also see this one just Bundy and Happ kind of limiting damage.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think, both guys are above average pitchers. Bundy, still that prospect that was kind of supposed to be, the next big thing and never became that. And, maybe this is the year he gets it together, but, at Camden against the Blue Jays may not be the spot where I want to chance him, especially on a 12-game slate. So, honestly, I mean, J.A. Happ, another one of those guys, not a lot of strikeout upside, does a decent job of keeping the ball on the ground. But I think for me, unless I'm stacking an offense, I don't think that this is a spot. I probably won't have a whole lot of this, honestly. Maybe some mini stacks from each side just in case. But I think there's spots I like better for pitchers and hitters.
Like, I look at Baltimore and I want to like them because, they're so righty heavy. But, you look at Adam Jones, he just goes on and off each year against lefties. Machado, finally got together against lefties. Mark Trumbo sucked against lefties last year. I think the only one I could really look at is probably Wellington Castillo. Obviously this guy we love against lefties in that ballpark. He's probably the only option I'll just play a lot of.
I do love Manny Machado in just about every matchup just because, I'm just a huge Machado fan. So I'll play him, like you said. Maybe that'll be my one-off in this one. But, Castillo is cheap too, and we know the kind of power he's got. So I get on board with that.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think one pricing difference, Devin Travis, only 2,400 on FanDuel. So
Yeah, not bad.
So, Marlins and Nationals next year. Tanner Roark versus Dan Straley. Nationals, for me, never a team I really love. One, because guys like Bryce Harper and Daniel Murphy are always super popular and also are really expensive. But I love Trey Turner.
Yep. I feel like the Nationals are as far as lineup goes, like DFS, they're like the Cavs of baseball. You got the big three. You got the Turner, Murphy, Harper. They're like the LeBron, Love, and Kyrie, and then it's just garbage after that for the most part. You've got Matt Wieters has got some upside, I guess. Jason Worth's not a guy that I like playing ever, even if he's facing a lefty, which he's not today. But for me, it's either stack those big three, maybe throw in Wieters. But other than that, I don't, especially on a 12-game slate, I'm not taking a chance on anybody outside of them.
No, I don't think so. I don't care about Turner's ownership. I love playing this guy, just monster upside on power-wise and on the base paths. And look at Straley. Gave up a ton of home runs last year to right-handed bats. Obviously, we talked about a lot of these lefties and those power guys, but I don't mind him. Once again, it's probably not the greatest spot, not the greatest ballpark, especially in the cooler months.
Yeah, this is one of those games. It's an okay spot, I guess, for the Nationals. But, the Marlins, like I said, it's what, Yelich, Stanton. That's pretty much it. They're not a good lineup.
And Tanner Roark, respectable right-hander. Not anything special, but this is a guy who just kind of goes out and gets quality starts.
Yeah, he'll throw up those random big games. I don't think this will be one of them, but that's another one of those games that if I don't have any pieces of it, I don't feel like I'm really missing out.
Not me either. Philadelphia, Cincinnati, next one here. Brandon Finnegan versus Gerard Eickhoff. Great spot for these guys in terms of hitters in the hitters park here. I like some guys here. I know you do too. Maikel Franco's a guy that you wrote up in your GPP article.
Yeah, Finnegan is he's so bad against righties, especially in that ballpark. If you look at the numbers on FanGraphs, the best power parks for right-handers, Coors Field, Great American tied for the best for right-handed power. Brandon Finnegan among all these pitchers here on this slate, one of the worst in terms of splits against righties here for this matchup. His hard hit rate is through the roof. Gives up 334 WOBA, 27 homers to righties. I'm all about Maikel Franco. I kind of wish that this was a team that had better right-handed bats than what they do. But for me, I'm definitely getting some Maikel Franco. I don't know if I'll go a full stack just because you got some switch hitters that have a decent amount of power on that team. But nobody that really excites me on a 12-game slate that I'm going to go too crazy about.
Yeah, the lineup, I mean, as a stack, it's kind of unappealing unless they shake it up some way. Because it's like, I'm not playing Howie Kendrick. Give me a break. But
Yeah,
guys like
no thanks.
Cameron Rupp, I mean, I have some interest in there. I mean, 415 Woba off lefties, 40% hard contact rate last year. So he's going to strike out a ton. But Finnegan can miss some bats, but I still don't find him to be anything special. So I might take a shot with him in a tournament. But as you said, I mean, you wish there were kind of better right-handers.
Yeah, exactly.
So on the red side, though, I mean, if Eichhoff has a weakness, it's against lefties and basically facing guys like Hamilton, Votto, Schebler, who's a cheaper option. I mean, I don't mind him. And even Peraza, I don't mind if you're going with a stack.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? 347 Woba he allowed to lefties last year, which is not good. 273 against righties. Still gave up a lot of home runs. I mean, 12 to righties. What is it? 18 to lefties. So 30 homers overall. That's not good in this ballpark. So, like I said, I'll limit most of my exposure to lefties. Of course, a couple decent ones there, but I think Duvall's probably the. You said Peraza, I'm cool with that, but Duvall with his, I mean, he's got two homer upside anytime. I think people look at that righty split and get away from him, but he certainly has nice upside in that slate.
Yeah, and Peraza more just a tournament guy if you were stacking the front four. That's
Yeah.
it.
Plus, I mean, he's aggressive on the bases, so he's one of those guys that doesn't need to hit a homer to, put up a monster game.
No, it definitely doesn't. So I do like them. Atlanta, New York, Jacob deGrom, Bartolo Colon. Cologne revenge game.
Oh my god! I mean, when are we going to be done with this freaking guy?
Never. DFS will end before Bartolo Colon leaves the league.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of years ago, I thought that really was true, but no, it's. I mean, I'm still going to play just a ton of Mets bats. I know they kind of let us down except for that one inning last time, but I mean, Cologne, as usual, was horrible against lefties last year. 18 homers allowed, 335 WOBA. I mean, it's get me all the Mets lefty bats. And I mean, you're the only batter I would take a chance on from Atlanta is Freddie Freeman, just because he's just turned into such a good hitter. But I just don't think the upside's there against DeGrom. So really, for me, I don't really see any sort of potential for playing Atlanta bats here.
No, I don't either. And I like the lefty Mets here. I mean, I like one-offs and like Granderson. I love this Drupal Cabrera. I think he's underrated. Hitting the top half of the lineup, still cheap. I mean, you look at last year's numbers against right-handed pitching, 343 WOBA with the 206 ISO. So I mean, he's been solid.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know this spot. I think DeGrom, probably the second best pitcher on the slate behind Sale. So for me on a 12-game slate, I don't really take a whole lot of risks on those kind of type of matchups at all. No reason.
I agree with that. Definitely one behind Sale. Yankees and Rays, Alex Cobb versus Michael Pineda. This game is just, as far as hitters go, I don't have a lot of interest. I mean, I kind of like Pineda in a GPP fashion and pretty much nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, it's a spot where, it's a really neutral park. I mean, almost like the exact neutral park for lefties and righties here. I mean, just nothing special there. Pineda's that guy, like you kind of mentioned, he's got that strikeout upside, but I mean, he still is just horrible against lefties. He has been for a while now. I mean, doesn't give up a ton of homers there, only 9 last year. Still strikes out a ton of guys. What is it, 97 in 76 innings against lefties? But, definitely vulnerable against lefties. So for me, Corey Dickerson, I love Corey Dickerson against a vulnerable righty. But really for me, there's no other lefty bats. I mean, Kevin Kiermaier, I like. Obviously, his upside's more on the base pass than power. So I think he's interesting. I'll probably throw in like a Rays stack that's just as many lefties as I can get. But outside of those two, none of them are really exciting to me.
Yeah, I mean, Pineda, it's like when he does get hit, he's getting hit hard. I mean, 36% hard contact rate against left-handed bats. But yeah, I mean, a near 29% strikeout rate. So you look at him, he's either on or off. But yeah, I mean, Dickerson, Kiermaier, maybe a Brad Miller. That's about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. And Alex Cobb's one of those, he's neutral like the ballpark for me. Not a guy that I'm trying to attack a ton. The Yankees kind of have an aging lineup. I mean, throw in some big guys like Greg Bird, Gary Sanchez, especially if he continues to struggle as he has the first couple games. You saw his ownership huge the first game. It's going to keep going down until he hits that first homer, and I will definitely be there for that.
Yeah, and it'll shoot right back up.
Yep. So, yeah, then it'll be 40% again the next day.
Pittsburgh and Boston. Next one here, Chris Sale versus James Italian. As far as the Pirates bats go, they were top 10 against lefties and Woba last year. They had a huge strikeout rate, though. It was near 23%. I just don't think this is a spot where I need to go, even regardless of, a couple of guys like Marte and McCutcheon and like Freeze and Cervelli. I don't need to go that route.
No, I mean, that David Freese ship has sailed for me years ago. There, you still see people. I mean, I haven't this year yet. Obviously, I don't think they faced a lefty yet, but I mean, it's people still want to go back to that. I mean, this is not 2009. Like, that's David Freese is done for. McCutcheon seems like he's done for too. Unfortunately, I like him, but he has not been good recently. So yeah, I mean, I think Marte maybe a one-off. He's like the type of guy that could go and get you that one big game while the rest of the team struggles. Because I mean, he's five-tool type of player, steals bags, has power. But I mean, again, huge slate. Why target the best pitcher?
Yeah, and on the Red Sox side, I mean, I have some interest. The power's up there for some of these guys. I mean, like Betts and Hanley, Benintendi. I mean, this guy is probably going to be really chalky because the price tag's still not that high. I think Talian's a talented arm, but he doesn't miss a ton of bats and did get hit hard by lefties last year.
Yeah, like you mentioned, his home runs per nine over one. You don't like that. Hard hit rate over 33%, swing and strike 8%. I mean, that's not a recipe for success against a Red Sox team that, last year in particular was one of the best at putting the ball in play. I mean, they don't give away at bats often, and that's not going to work out well for a guy that's not able to fool anybody.
Yeah. You look at that strikeout rate. I mean, Pedroia, bats don't strike out a ton. I mean, Benintendi, obviously a young guy, but if he's not missing bats, Hanley's that guy who I feel like the big game's going to come, every now and then, and I want some pieces of him too.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's a perfectly fine spot for these guys. Talley, another one of those guys, supposed to be, or he is, I guess, still a pretty highly touted prospect, but really hasn't translated that to the majors yet in any sort of dominant way, at least.
Yeah, he's not that big swing and miss guy.
No.
Cleveland, Texas, Cole Hamels versus Danny Salazar. This has just been a weird series because we've gotten some good pitching outside of Martin Perez. But, it's kind of hard to pick on guys in this game. I mean, you can make a case if you really want to get weird, but I don't know how much I'll be going here.
I know. I'm so on the fence with this one because, I mean, Cole Hamels, we saw, I mean, he's had was it last year he had a no-hitter or the year before? I mean, and it was in the middle of the summer. Horrible environment in Texas. I mean, he's got that monster upside, but he still gave up 20 homers to right-handed batters last year. So, he's still vulnerable. But then, you look the other side, he's obviously tremendous against lefties. But, you got some switch hitters in that lineup, Santana, Lindor, those guys hit well from the right side. Not a whole lot of other guys, though, from the right side that I'm really excited about. I mean, Brantley bats from the left. You got, Austin Jackson? You're going to get excited about him? I mean, I'm not. I guess if you're going to take a shot, you do like a little mini stack with some of these righties or switch hitters. But, I mean, Cole Hamels is still one of the best pitchers on this slate. So,
yeah, I like him a lot. I mean, it's weird to see because Encarnacion on DraftKings is 4,800. Pretty sure he was 4,400 against Martin Perez. I don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really weird situation. It's almost one of those. You see those guys every once in a while, and DraftKings loves to do that to you. Over the last couple of years, you get that guy that's just way too cheap in a great spot. It's almost like they're like, hey, Trout, go ahead and just swing and miss at a couple of bad pitches this time. But yeah, I think honestly for me, especially the way the last couple of games have been going, like you said, good pitchers, but a lot of offensive production. I think it's probably a pretty good time to fade this game, and because the pitching's eventually going to come around. So I think this could be a game that could be set up for a pretty big disappointment for hitters.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't really like anyone on Texas. I mean, I get Odor's got some pop. I mean, outside of that, though, I just think basically Salazar's been pretty decent against left-handed hitters. I mean, 273 WOBA allowed, did get hit hard, but still that strikeout rate's up. I don't know. I like Salazar, so I don't think I'm going to be really going after him.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Colorado, Milwaukee, Willie Peralta, smile on my face every time I say his name. Tyler Chatwood. I mean, talking Brewers here first. I mean, this has got to be the best matchup of the night, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's up there. Chatwood is a guy that he's just so average in just like every single way. He does a really good job keeping the ball on the ground, but he walks a ton of guys, four walks per nine, strikeouts per nine, 6.5 roughly. Doesn't go up a ton of homers, but like you said, 7.8% swing strike, does not miss any bats. a really dangerous combination for a team facing Milwaukee in Miller Park. I just think that, even if it's not a lot of power, I think they're going to have some big innings, and he's definitely a guy I'll be avoiding and stack away on the Brewers side.
Yeah, people looked at Chatwood. I think he really had a nice ERA, but I mean, I think the BABIP was extremely low. I mean, like unsustainably low. So I look at Chatwood. I mean, doesn't have crazy numbers where you're just like, oh my god, I got to play this guy against him. But his peripheral numbers are just not good. I mean, as you said, the swing strike rate not there, and against a team that is free swinging. I mean, we saw basically when Gray started putting the ball right down the middle. I mean, these guys can hit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's zero reason to take a chance on him. I mean, Jonathan Villar, Ryan Braun, any of these, Domingo Santana even, because he's got some power. Any of these guys, Travis Shaw's been hitting pretty well early. I don't think he has a homer yet, but he's got a couple doubles. So, I mean, I'm cool with anybody in this lineup here because I just think, like you said, pitches to contact. Like, you don't want to be pitching to contact against a team with a lot of power in that ballpark.
No, you don't. Eric Thames, another guy I don't mind. On the Rockies side, I mean, expensive, but I mean, Willie Peralta is a guy who, we've always targeted lefties against him in the past, Insteps, Blackman, and Gonzalez with their power, but we also saw Peralta get hammered by righties last year too.
Yeah, I mean, Peralta, just put it in perspective again, 374 WOBA against lefties last year, horrible, but also 357 against righties. That was the one reason why I thought he even kept his job, is because, righty dominant lineups, he held his own because he was good against righties. But, I mean, both of those numbers are, I mean, I think awful is a generous thing to say. So this could be, 12 to 10 type of game. I think this is a game that you definitely want to get some pieces of. Blackman, Gonzalez, anyone from left side. And, even a guy like Mark Reynolds had a big game first game. He's got power. I will definitely be loading up on all these Rockies. Tony Wolters is pretty cheap for the matchup. You can play him. So I want a big piece of both sides.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about, obviously every time Colorado goes on the road, but Miller Park, still a top 10 hitters park.
Yeah, exactly.
Seattle, Houston, Charlie Morton versus James Paxton. Basically, this features two arms that you might like going throughout the year. I mean, I don't think it's an immediate jump on. Like, you look at the totals here, they're pretty high already. But I don't know if it's quite the game you just dive into and start targeting a lot of hitters in.
No, I'm actually kind of on the opposite side of that one. James Paxton's a guy that has shown some just huge upside at times, but he's also a guy that, has shown the tendency to be a little bit wild, not pitch deep into games. But, last year, 0.67 homers per nine, did a great job there, improved on that number, got his walks down under 2 per 9 over 120 innings, strikeouts almost 9 per 9. I mean, he's a young guy who's got some big time upside. I mean, I guess he's 28, not as young as I thought he was, but he still has some upside. And I mean, Charlie Morton, I know it was only 17 innings last year, but all of a sudden, Charlie Morton was really, really good in that short amount of time last year. They saw it in the spring too. His velocity's up. His command's still an issue, but I mean, his swing and strike rate in that small sample last year was over 12%. I mean, that's elite. I don't think he'll maintain that, but you can keep that number over 10% and do a good job of limiting walks. I mean, Charlie Morton's always the guy who's done a great job keeping the ball on the ground, and that's the kind of pitcher you want to target against Seattle. So Charlie Morton's the guy that I'm going to be throwing in to all the lineups that I'm trying to stack up hitters in. Risky, yeah, but I mean, I think the price considered, the upside certainly there.
Yeah, I think both these guys are viable GPP options, and I think Morton more so. And I kind of look at obviously some of these bats too. I mean, I know Morton's figured things out. I mean, if you want to go over the longer run, he's struggled with lefties to a big time rate, which obviously kind of puts Seager and Cano into play, but that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, certainly the risk is there. He's not a cash game pitcher by any means, but I do think this is another one of those games could be kind of set up for some disappointment. I'm prepared to eat my words on that one, but I think this could definitely be one of those games that looks like a great spot, but could end up being a 3-2 type of game.
I think so too. And given Paxton is a lefty, I mean, Springer, Altuve both hit lefties really well. Evan Gattis will likely start behind the dish. I don't mind him as a GPP option, just given that he's got big time power, but that's it.
Yeah, and plus you just love that he's the old school guy, doesn't wear batting gloves. Yeah. I mean, it's fun watching him hit home runs.
Short sleeves because he's all jacked up.
Yeah, because he can't wear long sleeves because they'll rip them.
San Francisco, Arizona, Matt Moore versus Taiwan Walker, Chase Field game. I mean, both these guys, I don't know. I can't get behind. People like Taiwan Walker and think he's going to thrive. I don't see it in Chase Field where we've basically seen pitchers go to die lately.
I've never been a Taiwan Walker fan. I mean, last season gave up a ton of homers, 1.8 per nine. I mean, that's Kyle Kendrick territory. That's horrible. You look at his walk rate, it was improved. I mean, 2.48 per nine. That's not bad. He does miss some bats, but I mean, the shift from him going from Safeco to Chase Field, I mean, that's I don't have high hopes for that. I mean, his main issue was home runs. I mean, Safeco's not an ideal ballpark for home runs, and now you get Chase Field. Obviously, great park factors for both sides. Taiwan Walker's probably not a guy I'll be playing anytime soon in that ballpark.
Yeah, me either. But with that being said, I like some of the Giants hitters. I mean, I like Brandon Crawford. You look at Walker. I mean, as you said, the home runs were an issue. 2.13 home runs per nine to lefties. I mean,
Yep.
Elton Crawford sheep. I mean, he's even. I mean, if you want to look at WOBA wise, it's higher for righties. So, I mean, Penson Posey, I don't even mind.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is, the Giants kind of let everybody down in the opener, but they're a team that, they could put up some big innings, even if they're not hitting the ball out of the ballpark. So, we saw randomly, I mean, if I had to guess, they probably had 5 or 6 games last year with 12 or more runs. I mean, they just had those games where everybody's hitting, and Walker, I mean, he's going to have to be hitting his spots because this is a patient team that doesn't strike out much. So the upside's certainly not there for him, but I think it's definitely there for the Giants.
I think so too. And on the other side, Matt Moore. This is a guy when he's around the plate, he can be solid. I mean, the walks have always been an issue, but now we're kind of looking at basically guys like AJ Pollock, Paul Goldschmidt, Yasmani Tomas, 3 guys who hit lefties really well.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of can take a couple guys like the David Peralta's out, and I mean, he's not any good against lefties at all. Like they keep trying to play him against lefties. I don't know why, but I mean, Goldschmidt's probably my favorite hitter of the whole slate. You got Matt Moore, we remember when he was in Tampa Bay. Of course, Tampa Bay turns terrible pitchers into decent pitchers and then ships them out for, I mean, I guess they don't get much, but they look good for a little while. But Matt Moore was one of those guys that he was pretty decent for a while. But, Arizona, I don't have the numbers right here. Oh, yeah, I do. Last year, 201 team ISO against lefties, best in the majors. Nationals are right behind, which is interesting because their 2 best hitters were lefties. But 348 team WOBA against lefties. Like they struck out a decent amount, but I don't ever play lefties against the Diamondbacks. It'll have to be Clayton Kershaw for me to play a lefty against him, honestly. Maybe Chris Sale, which he won't obviously be playing them much. But, for me, Goldschmidt, Tomas, a guy who was awful the first day. I took a shot on him, but he's got monster upside too. So Diamondbacks probably my favorite stack of the day. If Moore has that game where he's got good command, then I'm fine with throwing away my money on that one. But I'm all about the Diamondbacks here.
Yep, I think if this game was in San Francisco, it'd probably be a different story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. Those 3 bats I like a ton. No reason for me to go into guys like Owings and Drury. Just stop the dance.
Yeah, you're trying too hard there. I mean, I know Owings, they keep saying, "Oh, he's hitting so well. He's hitting so well." He's not Jose Altuve. Not every little guy has big time upside, and he doesn't. So no, Chris Owings. I guess if you're stacking, throw him in there, but don't get excited about it.
Yeah, that's the only real reason to. Los Angeles and Oakland, Joe Cotton versus Garrett Richards. Garrett Richards, when healthy, I think is an above-average right-hander, and he's really solid. We just haven't seen health out of him, but I don't think this is really a game where you're going to find offense.
No, I am still a pretty big Garrett Richards fan. I mean, that was unfortunate, his whole situation last year. Obviously, coming back, I wonder how easy they're going to take it on him if it's one of those ones where they kind of keep him on a short leash. But and also, Oakland's not a team that strikes out a ton. They do have a decent amount of power. But, you're looking once you drop past those top guys, Cole Hamels, Chris Sale in this slate, there's not a whole lot of guys with strikeout upside. And I think that Garrett Richards definitely does have that. So, for me, if you're going to target him, obviously it's guys like Chris Davis, monster power. We saw that with 2 homers in the final 3 innings the other day, or final 4 innings, I guess it was. But, aside from that, I think Richards is a guy I'll throw in a couple of GPPs. And, Cotton, not a guy that I'll probably be playing in this spot. I'll probably just kind of avoid really both sides of that one.
Yeah, I feel like it's a wash. I mean, I think Cotton's going to be a guy who just kind of floats around like 6 innings a start and gets like 200 to 300 runs and nothing really anything more. And I just never like paying up for Trout and GPPs ever.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a really small slate. I just don't go that route. He's expensive. And these other guys, I mean, just in this ballpark, I know we saw some home runs in the first game, but I just don't like going with these bats on a big slate like this.
Yeah, I mean, Trout for a 12-game slate is probably going to be, what, 20% owned, which is an insane number for that big. And I mean, Cotton, I've never seen the guy pitch, but from what I've read and seen is that he's got a pretty good repertoire of pitches, almost 30% strikeout rate in the minors. So the upside's certainly there. I mean, he's a cheap guy. What is he on DraftKings? No, 78 on DraftKings. Maybe it was FanDuel that he was fairly cheap. Let me see. Yeah, he's 67 on FanDuel, 78 on DraftKings. I mean, he's more expensive than Garrett Richards by $700, which makes no sense to me. But, I mean, the upside's certainly there. I don't know if this is a spot where I'll take a risk on him. Angels, another one of those teams, doesn't strike out much. So I guess if you think Trout's going to be heavily owned, that'll kind of lower his ownership even more. But I'm not sure I'm ready to pay $8K for him on DraftKings.
No, I don't think so either. We get to Padres and Dodgers, Rich Hill versus Trevor Cahill. Rich Hill, an expensive guy, but a guy I just don't target because, I mean, especially with these guys, I mean, what's a strikeout rate? About 400%.
Yeah, I mean, that's all that he does is just strike guys out. I mean, that breaking ball is just nasty. I mean, last year, what is it, 10.6% swinging strike rate, but against lefties, I wanted to say it was just through the roof. Let me see if I can find that. But, I mean, we know his whole deal. He's about 150 years old, but all of a sudden strikes everybody out. But, yeah, his strikeouts per 9 against lefties. No, lefties was only 6.2. Maybe it was righties that he had.
Yeah, he's up near like 33% against right-handers.
Yeah,
but the ground ball rate against lefties is like 65%.
Yeah. His K per 9 was 11.77 against righties, which kind of a reverse splits as far as strikeouts go there. But like we said, strikeouts on a slate like this that doesn't have a whole lot of strikeout upside, definitely a guy you want to get some pieces of. And San Diego, as we know, still one of those teams, just not a particularly good offense, but a lot of young guys with power though. So that worries you a little bit, but some of them are lefties. So that lefty split not going to work out too well for them.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think this is a spot to take Padres. I liked a couple of them against Maeda, but that was pretty much it. I think Hill's just a guy who just misses way too many bats. Yep. On the Dodgers side, I mean, getting Trevor Cahill, once again, you just look at some of these prices. They priced Justin Turner up a little bit more, which I'm glad, but you're still getting guys like Adrian Gonzalez, Logan Forsythe. I mean, Corey Seager's not even priced that badly. So you fire away again, I guess. I mean, if you want value in cash games, Dodgers are going to continue to be that team.
Yeah, and I mean, Jock Peterson, wasn't in the lineup last night, but we saw monster power again. I mean, he had, 25 homers and like 400 at-bats last year. His ISO was top 10 in baseball against righties, 278. Plus, you look at Cahill and what he did against righties last year. I mean, obviously, or against lefties, obviously he wasn't a guy that pitched a full complement of innings. But, this was a guy that got just absolutely rocked at times by lefties, 35% hard hit rate. I mean, this is definitely a guy that's very, very beatable. And go back to the Dodgers stack in this one. I mean, if the Dodgers are facing a righty, like you said, values there, upsides there. Avoid them for the most part against lefties. But when they're facing a righty, I mean, any of these guys can have monster games. Yeah,
and if you want a punt play, I mean, Andrew Toll's 2,100 on FanDuel. I mean, he led off on opening day. Hit the ball hard. I mean, a couple right at people, a couple singles. So, I mean, I think tonight, given the fact that we listed some expensive bats that you might want to look at, and if you're playing in, obviously a top 8, 9K pitcher and beyond, Toll's is a good salary relief.
Yeah, I completely agree there. So he's a guy probably gonna be pretty popular in cash games.
Yeah, he definitely will be. But one of those guys I don't care about.
Yeah,
whatever. So that's gonna wrap things up here with the GPP picks. You can head to NordDailyFantasyCafe.com and check out our great tools and content.